Hey everybody, we are back again with another episode of the Nintendo Pipeline Podcast. My name is CMM, or Clay. I'm going to be your host today. And joining me today is a very special guest. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I'm Zalman. I've been looking forward to this, so thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And today is all about Switch Sports at long last. It's
Yes,
been a little bit since it came out, but um,
we've been busy playing it.
yeah, well, grinding, I think, is probably
Yes.
the So, for anyone who's not super aware, Switch Sports came out at the end of April. Yeah, end of April. Had to think about it for a sec. We got six sports so far: soccer, football, volleyball, badminton, and then three returning ones: tennis, chambara or sword fighting, and bowling. We got online. We have the new Sportsmates that you can customize on top of being able to use your Mii's. And yeah, I mean the big allure here is really the online um, play as in terms of like the major feature. As of right now, the updates for soccer slash football to add full leg strap connectivity has not released yet. So the only thing that uses the leg strap right now is the little kickoff mode in that game. But we have that update, and then golf coming in the fall at some point. And I know we can get into it in a little bit, but there's been a
hmm
couple other data mined potential sports as well. So, I guess first of all, what were your first impressions playing this? How,
so I want to start off by saying that I was actually one of the people who asked for a new Wii Sports entry on Switch.
yeah,
I thought it was the perfect platform for it, and that it really should be a platform for all kinds of Nintendo games, right? So I was really excited to see them announce this at the last Direct, which is not even that long ago, if you think about it. Um,
yeah, it
yeah,
was like kind of not that long ago at all. Like, oh, okay,
yeah,
by the way, it's out in like 2 months or whatever.
yeah. That's what I love about current Nintendo is they're so quick. Um, but yeah, I mean, in general, I'll say I am pretty positive about this game. There are some issues, and of course, we will discuss those issues. But in general, I'm just glad that the Switch does have a Wii Sports game in its library. So, um, in terms of first impressions, I thought six sports. It's not as many as I would have liked to have, but
Yeah,
I do think the ones that are here surprise me in a good way most of the time.
yeah. I kind of feel similarly, actually. Especially with your first point. I'm just glad that we have another Wii Sports game. Like I've also wanted one for quite a while, and I mean, Joy Cons are perfect for this kind of thing. And I also felt similarly in regards to like the number of sports and maybe like some of like the choices that were made for which to include.
hmm
Um, there was a brief network test where we got to try it a few months before release, and then now we have the final in our hands. And how do you feel about the whole like the game's structure in general? This game is very focused on the online element, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised by that because progression is completely tied to online, and I
Yeah,
was I was kind of surprised by that direction because to me, Wii Sports is a local multiplayer game. It really excels in a party setting, in my opinion. So
yeah,
it was surprising to me that even if you go on the main menu, the top option is online, and if you want to
yeah,
play offline, it's you have to go down. So I was surprised to see that.
yeah. I kind of was as well. I mean, Sports Club had the feature, but like, and it was from what I recall because I didn't play as much Sports Club as I did others. It's fairly developed and honestly pretty similar to the implementation in this game, but um, you know, it was still just part of the experience, whereas this time it really feels like it's like the intended, I guess, experience to the point where I feel like the local multiplayer in this game kind of. like falters a little bit compared to previous Wii Sports entries. It just feels so like it feels kind of bare bones, I guess, is what I'd say. Um, a lot of lack of like side modes and stuff that were available and in previous Wii Sports games like the training mini games or even just like alternate modes in existing sports like Wii Sports Resort had.
Yeah, it's definitely lacking in content if you compare it to Wii Sports Resort, which
Yeah,
obviously was a big fat game, I thought.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
uh, but yeah, honestly, like for me, I never really touched those side modes. It's at least not in the first Wii Sports. To me, it was just
yeah,
a game that I picked up when people were around, and we can play tennis or bowling. So I didn't really think about it that much. But you are right. Now that I'm considering it, isn't really a whole lot of side modes.
yeah. It's kind of weird. I liked a lot of the side stuff, particularly in Resort, because
Hmm.
the side stuff in the original was mostly the training mini games, which I enjoyed them, but they weren't like I wouldn't have cried if that they're gone.
Yeah.
Um, but stuff in Wii Sports Resort, like the one that hurts for me is Chambara Showdown or the sword fighting showdown mode that was in Resort,
Hmm.
which I had a lot of fun with. And there's not really an equivalent for that at all in this. But
Hmm.
I guess that being said, we can kind of get into the individual sports, and I guess why not start with Chambara since I mentioned it. How are you feeling about this one?
Chambara is, it's I had fun with it, and it's funny because it kind of reminds me a lot of Skyward Sword, which I just played last year, um,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's funny because the original Skyward Sword was actually inspired by Wii Sports Resort, so it kind of comes full circle. But I think this one is it might be the most frustrating one for me because this is one where the motion controls have to be spot on, right?
yep,
Because it's very fast paced, it's competitive, and if you make a simple mistake, it can really mess you up. And so this is one where the controls need to be on point at all times, and I don't think they actually are. Sometimes it's not doing exactly what I want it to do, and that can be a problem.
yeah. I feel very similarly on this one. So something that I noticed right off the bat, and I think everybody did if they played Wii Sports Resort, is the way that the sword functions in this game is different.
Hmm. Yeah.
um, and I actually haven't played the HD version of Skyward Sword, so I don't know how it compares to the original. But
Hmm.
the original Skyward Sword and Wii Sports Resort were very much like one to one hand tracking for um, the sword combat, and it was very
Yes.
satisfying.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, obviously, people have complained in the past that playing sword fighting in Wii Sports Resort, you could just like kind of like shake around like a wild person, and quickly defeat enemies that way, and you can.
Hmm.
Not that you can't counter it, and it seems like they almost like kind of took that to heart in some ways because you cannot do that in Chambara,
Hmm.
at least not as easily. Um, and I think something I noticed kind of immediately is that when you swing in Chambara versus sword fighting in Wii Sports Resort, is that you're dealing with canned animations, kind of.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's less precision, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think
Um,
unfortunately the Joy-Cons they sometimes suffer with motion controls, I feel.
yeah,
Especially now this is not really the case here, but especially with games that use pointer controls because there's no sensor bar, you have to
right.
calibrate it all the time. Um, so yeah, in this case, I do agree the controls aren't as responsive as they should be.
Yeah, it's and see. So I guess it depends on how you feel about it. For me, the uh, precision of the original is what made it so much fun and fun to go back to and so satisfying. So
Right.
lacking that here, um, for me, it makes Chambara probably my least favorite out of the sports in this collection.
Yeah,
Um,
you know what? I agree. It's my least favorite, so I'm happy we're starting here.
yeah, you can only go up from here.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that plus the lack of side modes. One thing that is cool is the addition of different swords to choose from.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually. We have the basic one. There's the charge sword, which is kind of cool, and then there's the dual wielding, which isn't as fun as I thought it would be, but I still enjoy. I don't know if you have any preference. uh,
I usually just stick to the standard one, but
yeah,
it is nice to have that option.
yeah, it's a neat like little wrinkle that they added. But unfortunately, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
The sword slice, like the shape slicing mode, isn't there. Showdown's not there. It's definitely the like most. I would say probably the most bare bones
Hmm.
of the sports here.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, like you said, only can kind of go onward and upward from here. So I guess we could talk about one of the new ones, volleyball. I'm very curious what you think about volleyball because I've noticed it's been a very split reception on volleyball.
Hmm. So I have a feeling they wanted volleyball to be the big new thing because it's the one they showed in the Nintendo Direct.
Yes.
And I can kind of see why because compared to some of the other sports, volleyball has a lot of variety in what you actually do with the motion controls. Because if you
Yeah.
think about it, tennis, you're just swinging your racket, right? You're not really doing a whole lot of different motions. But in volleyball, you're doing the layups, you're spiking the ball, so there's like variety to it, and I like that. But at the same time, I feel it's a little slow paced for me. Maybe I just need it just needs to click for me, and it hasn't yet. But I found it to be a little boring at times. Um, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely understand that. It is
Yeah.
definitely a bit slower paced than I expected it to be.
Hmm.
I was hoping it would be a little bit faster. That being said, I think for me, out of all of the honestly all of the sports in general, I think that volleyball is probably my favorite. Um,
Hmm.
you know, if you want to be boring, you can not do the movement to for bumps and sets. You can be that person, I guess, and that would make you lame in my book. But I like doing all of the motions as if I was playing the game, and that includes with both hands, not just the one that I'm using the Joy-Con.
Yeah.
um, it's interesting because it seems very simple on the outset, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, like so there's like that timing mechanic where if you hit the ball at the correct time, it kind of goes through like power phases, I guess.
Hmm.
So correct timing for the first time is green, and then if your partner hits it again, it's yellow, and then the final hit, which would be a spike, if you have it with perfect timing, is like this pinkish color, and it goes faster or whatever. And at first, I kind of thought, oh, okay, like that's kind of the main thing to this. But it's actually like in practice is not. It's a lot about blocking, um, which I find very very interesting. I mean, it makes sense. It's volleyball, but um, this game actually gives you analog stick control left and right uh,
Yes.
when you are going to block, and I think it adds a very fun dimension to the game because not only can you adjust where you are and then have to worry about the timing of your block. When you spike, you can aim the spike.
Hmm.
Um, that's the other big element of
Yeah,
this.
I feel like there's a lot of strategy to it, more than you think there is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I sometimes have had issues with aiming spikes. Like it shows you how to, like in one of the loading screens, but a lot of the times I do it and then it goes the opposite direction.
Hmm.
I think I'm kind of starting to finally understand. Like I'm probably just doing the motion wrong. But there's some really cool stuff that you can do. Like if you're like, say you're all the way to the left of the net, um, your opponent's probably going to expect you to spike to the right since it's just, more area. But if you spike it to the left and kind of like sink it in that corner and it goes right by them, it's so satisfying. um, I don't know that I mean you can have side modes I'm sure for volleyball, but this game I feel is fine just as it is. Um,
Yeah, I can't really think of anything I would add to it.
like you could do so you can do like I guess you could do a mini game where you like land serves where they're supposed to go or you're supposed to block stuff. I can imagine stuff like that, but nothing that it doesn't feel like something's missing. I guess if
Hmm.
that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Um,
and
something that
also
is oh go ahead.
y- yeah, I would say I think it's also rare that you see volleyball in video games. Because there's so many like football, soccer games, tennis games, but volleyball is kind of a rare thing to see. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I agree actually. I saw it and my immediate thought because I'm a nerd is just like, oh, Haikyuu, it's time. I don't really watch anime that much, but that was my immediate thought. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a nice pick. I know there's some discussion of like, oh, this version of sports has a lot of hit the ball over the net games, and yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Um, but I think volleyball feels very different
Yeah, for
from the
sure.
other
It stands out.
inclusions. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Something that I was actually taken aback by at first during the online test is when you're playing the game, it will show like at the top of the screen like next hit bump or next hit set, which is very not Wii Sports like to me. um,
Yeah.
like because I mean effectively it feels like the game registers those two moves the same. Um, but technically, yeah, you don't necessarily know like you wouldn't necessarily like assume like which one of those you would use. And I guess, to make it more straightforward, they're kind of like, yeah, no, you do the bump now. Um, which, in an actual volleyball game, that's not always the case. Not that's not always the order.
Yeah,
uh,
it's kind of strange actually that they included that.
yeah, it feels very weird. But yeah, this game I tend to like when I'm playing online. It's the game that I want to play the most
Uh-huh.
time. Um, I'll pick bowling because the point grinding's better, but volleyball's the one that I want to
Yeah,
actively play.
points are important though,
They are.
especially with these timed events.
Yeah, so I guess we can talk about that real quick.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, when you play online, you get points. Not if you play online with friends, just if you
Oh,
play
really?
online globally.
I have not played with friends yet, so I did not know
Yeah,
that.
apparent. I haven't either, but I was told that you do not get points if you play online with friends, which I think is a bit silly. Um, but yeah, you get points. Each game will give you 30 points just for playing it. And then there's all these little bonuses that you get depending on how you do that vary for each sport. So for like volleyball, it'll be like, oh, teamwork bonus or victory bonus or you did a bunch of um, really well timed like spikes or whatever, and you'll get like multipliers. And every 100 points you get an item. Well, rather, every 100 points you get to choose an item because this game has item boards that are each themed, and they rotate every 2 weeks. And basically, you pick the board that you want an item from, and the game will randomly, give you one. So anything from emotes to clothes for your character to alternate gear for the sports to titles. It's just there's a bunch of stuff, um,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
was
kind of the
actually
big thing.
surprised. I was surprised by how much you could actually unlock. Like
Yeah,
you can unlock different volleyballs, for example. So I
yeah,
thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, and they're all like themed. Well, the boards are themed. They're usually the execution of the board is it's like loosely themed, but um, I know so far there's been like the cute board, and I know right now there's like the dark, was it the dark something board? It's like the ninja
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
Um, and you have 2 weeks to get everything on the board, and then there's a completion bonus for finishing the board, which is usually the most major thing on
yeah.
there. It's
Like
like a
the cat
outfit.
or whatever it was, squirrel.
Yeah, yeah, you like either a full outfit or you like get the squirrel option for your character or whatever. There's
Yeah,
some interesting things that are included. I know one of the more controversial choices has been to put like stuff like eye color and hair colors for your character um, on the boards, which not really sure that I like.
hmm
Um, the other thing is that not all sports are created equal for grinding points.
yeah.
Uh,
Bowling, as you said before, is the best
yeah,
one for grinding.
bowling is crazy because bowling is the only one that has a base of 40, and then it feels like literally anything you do in bowling, you get a multiplier. So,
Hmm
you know, if you make it out of like the first round or two in survival bowling, it'll be like you got a bunch of strikes multiplier, you got a bunch of spares multiplier, you had a really good split conversion spare, you got over 100 points. You get more points. Like it kind of like it adds up to a ridiculous degree.
Yeah,
Um, if you make it to like finals in survival bowling, you will probably get like 90 something points for just one game of bowling, which is kind of wild. Whereas you play volleyball, and even when you win, you'll be lucky if you get like 40.
yeah. So bowling is definitely the game you play if you're short on time.
Yeah, yeah. If you like forgot to get the items and you want them all, and it's like 24 hours are remaining, you just play bowling all day and you'll be fine.
Hmm
Um, and that aspect of the game is fun, getting the different customization things. I know I kind of feel like there should have been maybe a few more options available at the start. Um, but that aspect of the game is actually kind of what's been keeping me coming back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I don't know about you, but I play as a me, and
Same.
I don't. Should we talk about that? Like
Yeah, let's
the
talk about it.
okay,
That's
okay.
the elephant in the room.
Yes, exactly. So my biggest issue with this game, I'm just gonna straight up say it. It's the lack of Wii vibes. That's how I
Yep.
call it. And I say this because over the years, I've really noticed how strong Wii nostalgia has become.
Yep.
Whether it's me talking to younger family members or me seeing all the memes online, like I really thought they would leverage that more, and they just have not at all. And I was really surprised to see that.
Yeah, I'm kind of both surprised and disappointed because a lot of the customizations, if you are using a me, and to be fair, if you use like the squirrel body or whatever the other body options are, a lot of them just don't work. Like you can't
Oh,
use them.
so when I use a me to play this game, I feel like I'm being punished because I can't really
Yeah,
use any of the unlockables.
yeah. Like so, there's a couple different types of customizations. You have stuff like hair color or whatever. Um, you have full outfits, which Mies can use,
Hmm
but hats, glasses, and facial customizations, none of those do anything if you're using a me or an alternate body, and that's a lot of what you unlock. It's three whole categories of items that you unlock that just you can't do anything with if you're using a me, and I find
Yeah,
that baffling.
yeah. I think it's such a shame because to me, when I think of Wii Sports, I think of Mii's. Like
Yeah,
they are synonymous with each other. So,
I
uh,
agree.
I mean, it's not that I dislike Sportsmates. I think they're actually fine designs. They just feel like they're outsourced, and I know they are because they are not made by a Nintendo artist. It's just weird to me because they have this strong brand with the Mii's that I feel
Yeah.
like they should have used them.
Yeah, especially after seeing the remaster slash I don't even know what to call it of Metopia.
Hmm
Um, which is a game with Mii's that features a ton of really cool customizations that they actually kind of like went ham on and included more over the original version of that game. You know, you would think they would lean into it,
Hmm.
and they don't, like, at all.
No. Like I'm
um,
glad there at least an option, but like
Same.
if you look at the marketing for this game, the promo materials, the box art, the menus, like the Mii's are nowhere to be seen. And like it's very often that I go online and I play bowling with like 10 or how many people are there? 10 people?
Yeah.
20 people and like
Or
I'm
yeah,
the
it's like
only me.
16 or something.
Yes, and I'm the only me there. Like
Yeah.
it's so weird to me.
Yeah, I see a fair number of Mii's online, but obviously it pales in comparison to the default option of the Sportsmates. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. I don't even like the Sportsmates, like, design wise. I was kind of lukewarm on them in the beginning, and like over time, I've kind of just seeing the limitations of them. I've kind of just gotten to the point where I'm just like, yeah, I don't really like these characters. There's just not, compared to compared to Mii's in terms of customization. It's such a step down.
Hmm.
That's really the main thing. When you go to make a Sportsmate, when you first start this game up, the number of options you have is kind of dire. um, there's like, every character that you're gonna make with the default options is gonna look like the default guy in Fortnite. Like, you just, like, there's not much variance between them, and it's not that there couldn't have been, because, like we mentioned, you get tons of customizations for these. So maybe the answer could have been to have more available in the beginning, um, but they did not do that, and they have the very vast majority of options as unlocks for online. Um, so I guess that would be another criticism. I would say is like there should be at least some more available by default.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, when you pick the me, it's a body type, and what it actually means is a weird me head on a Sportsmate body, which is kind of this weird Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
It's
It's
weird.
it's really unfortunate because yeah, I mean I could rant about this forever, but
Same,
that
same.
that's my biggest criticism of this game for sure. So
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because I actually do like the what they've done in terms of like the look and the world of this game, Spoko Square, and like,
hmm.
the surrounding areas, and like, oh, there's like shops here, and there's like fun little lore bits on the loading screens. Like, it's a neat. It's not Woohoo Island, but like it's still like cool, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's populated with all these loser characters. They feel like Ninjala characters to me.
They
Like, they're
do.
like,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good comparison.
they're like, not like, if it's like if someone made, it feels like the characters that people made as like knockoffs, like during the Wii era when everyone was trying to put out a sports game with their own customizable characters that weren't Mii's. You'd get like this
Yeah.
sea of like weird looking dudes, and
Yeah,
girls, like,
the Xbox avatars or the
yeah,
PlayStation whatever they were, you know.
yeah. It's like they knocked themselves off. It's very it's very weird. I know some people love them, so I won't go on about it. But I was just surprised that stuff like, from Miitopia and like Miitomo weren't leveraged, because
Yeah,
those games.
especially since, as you said, they really doubled down on the customization in Miitopia,
Yeah,
the remaster. So yeah, it just makes me wonder about Tomodachi Life because we know Tomodachi Life is gonna come, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
that game sold too much to not have a sequel. So
yeah,
um, I just hope that it's more like Miitopia in that it has
yeah,
the me customization there. So yeah, let's hope.
yeah. No, I mean, I hope so too. I think, I couldn't have, I would never have imagined that they would put a Wii Sports title out that does not like feature Mii's front and center.
Hmm.
And Tomodachi Life is a game I feel like just straight up does not work without Mii's, like,
Nope.
at all. Like, it's completely built around them. So I can't imagine a Tomodachi Life game not having Mii's front and center, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
I guess at the end of the day, I just wish that the customization options were more available for the alternate body types.
Yeah.
Even if it was just hats, like
Yeah, why can't I put a hat on my knee? Like,
yeah, like
why is that
you know,
illegal?
yeah, it's illegal to put a hat on a me. I can understand stuff like, oh, like the facial masks or the different glasses that are, because some that well, glasses at least are like built into the actual me editor or whatever. Like, fine, whatever. But a hat, like, just the hat.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
um, our first returning or our second returning sport is bowling. And bowling has gotten some interesting tweaks. On top of it being, the game to go to if you want to grind points. Um, the main online implementation of bowling in this game is basically bowling battle royale.
Yes. And I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I love that
yeah,
it's simultaneous, so you don't have to wait,
yes,
less downtime. I think that this is one of the better online experiences, if you ask me.
yeah, I agree. It's very easy to quickly jump in. Um, I know something that's frustrating sometimes is you do not have control of if special lanes show up, and those begin showing up once you're ranked.
Hmm.
Um, so sometimes you kind of want to play a normal game of bowling, and then you get like, you know, lane type advanced, and it's like this hell lane.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
but
hopefully they tweak that because
yeah,
sometimes you just want to play standard bowling.
yeah, they very much made the online in this game, and I think this was similar in Sports Club to my recollection. They make it very straightforward, so that all you have to do is pick a sport. Um,
Yeah, that's true. I see value in that too.
yeah, and it's nice that you don't have to fiddle or muddle with stuff
Hmm.
too much. That being said, I don't think it would be the worst thing if there were like a couple of simple options. Like when you start up Chambara, you pick your sword. In bowling, you could choose if you want to do normal or special lanes. I don't think that would be, you know, too disruptive to that kind of flow. Um,
Y-
and I do
Yeah,
know that it would be kind of nice sometimes to not have to do the survival aspect where you just want to play 10 frames of bowling. Um, but I do enjoy the survival aspect, and I think it really works well for the fast paced jump in, jump out nature of online in this game. Um,
yeah, I agree. Um, as far as I know, there's no option for turn-based bowling, even local multiplayer, right?
um, yeah, I heard conflicting things on that, and I'm gonna be real honest. I haven't since like the day it came out. I have not had the opportunity to play in local um, with anyone, and for the first day, we mostly focused on like the new stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I was on the last day of a trip, and we picked it up at like the Walmart that was there, and we were mostly just kind of like testing stuff out and checking out like all of the new sports. We only had a little bit of time because we had to go to bed to catch a flight, so it wasn't the most ideal
Yeah.
scenario to play in local. But
So,
yeah, I heard conflicting things on that.
okay,
Um,
so it's because I've played local tennis. I have not played bowling yet.
yeah,
But I'm hoping if it's not an option yet, I hope it becomes an option because as much as I like the simultaneous bowling, I think
hmm,
there is value in having the turn-based option too, especially for a local setting,
yep,
where you go up one at a time and you really pay attention to each other's performance.
yeah,
Like in real bowling, right? Like you chit
yep,
chat
I
between
agree.
rounds. So I think
Yeah,
that I would like to see that as an option if it's not already.
yeah, I agree. That is a very it's something that like I think maybe you don't necessarily think about because you kind of just take it for granted, but that is a big aspect to me of a bowling experience is watching your competitors take their turns and seeing how they do and reacting with them. It's when
Hmm.
you're playing online, all you kind of really do is see the results screen with all the lanes are kind of coming in, um, and it's different.
Yeah.
Um,
So again, this goes back to how I feel this game was made as an online first experience,
Yeah,
and you can really tell with this decision here.
yeah, yeah. I agree. And for me personally, I know some people don't really care that much, but for me personally, 100 pin bowling not making it back makes me sad. Um, I always found it to be a kind of chaotic, fun version of bowling that isn't special lanes.
Yeah.
um, but well, I don't know if you've had this issue, and this may be a specifically my Joy-Con issue, but so in this game, you do not release the button when you throw the ball,
Yeah.
um, which I know has taken some getting used to from people. Um, but I have this issue that happens pretty commonly, and I'm pretty sure it's just my Joy-Con, but when I bring the bowling ball down to swing it forward, when I bring it down, it shoots the ball out. Like I haven't swung yet. I've just brought the ball down from chest height,
Ah,
um,
I see.
and it is very frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that does not happen to me. So,
Yeah, I think my Joy-Con is starting to be a bit funky, and it wasn't all there to begin with. Um,
yeah, that's unfortunate.
all right, well, I'm glad that's an isolated thing.
Yeah, yeah, that would be
uh,
bad if that was a widespread thing.
so next there is soccer slash football, which I
Mhm.
feel like is supposed to be kind of like almost like the main new addition in this one, just in terms of like how mechanically complex it is.
Mhm.
Um, how do you feel about it? I have
Th-
very varying thoughts on this.
This was actually the last sport that I played because I'm generally not a big soccer fan, and
Yeah,
I think the idea of kicking the ball by swinging my arms was weird to me. Like just
yeah,
the whole
I agree.
and the whole idea of actually using the stick to move around. I mean, it's cool, but I feel it kind of goes against Wii Sports and what it is because it's supposed to
Yeah,
be this simple game that anyone can pick up, and as soon as you introduce buttons and sticks to it, then it kind of takes away from the Wii Sports feeling. At least that was my perception at first.
yeah,
But then I played it, and it's one of the more surprising sports to me. I really enjoyed the what I played of it, and maybe it's because I ended up being really good at it, but uh, like surprisingly good at it. But I actually had a lot of fun with it.
I would probably say it's still my least played out of all of them. Like when I look at the menu and I want to pick a sport, even though I don't like Chambara in this game, I'm still more likely to pick it than
Uh-huh.
soccer a lot of the time. I agree with what you said in terms of like it feels the least Wii Sports out of the included sports. Most games in the Wii Sports series they will give you a very close approximation to what a sport feels like without it being like you know super intricate, right? Like tennis,
Hmm.
you're focusing on hitting the ball. Um, you know, sword fighting, you're not moving your character around the stage. You're just aiming your sword and blocking it and swinging it. So for soccer, you have full control of your character. You
Yes.
can jump. You have camera control with the right stick, which is vital.
Yes.
There is an auto cam that works to varying degrees. um, the ball, the depiction of soccer in the game is not really as close to the actual sport of soccer as other sports. You have
It's
this
Rocket
big
League, right?
ball. Yeah, it's like Rocket League on
Or
foot.
it's a Metroid Prime Blast Ball.
Yeah, it's blast ball too. Yeah. um, and yeah, there is the whole element of like you are kicking by swinging your arm, which they are going to be including leg strap functionality for the main game of soccer in an update. I almost said the final, but no, in an
Hopefully
update,
not.
no. But as it is, you can only do use the leg strap in one of the few side modes in this game, which is kickoff. which I actually have not had the opportunity to try yet. Um,
Yeah, I have not either. I've just
and
played
I
matches.
I kind of have to wonder how soccer is going to work with the leg strap, considering how button and stick heavy it
Yeah,
is.
you're gonna stand up and, and play it with buttons.
Yeah,
That's
and like,
that's weird to
yeah,
me.
yeah, like you have to move your character, and that means you either are going to move your character or you're going to have camera control. And out of the two, I think one of them is more likely than the other due to the nature of how soccer works in this game.
Yeah.
um, I don't know if they'll be like, oh, if you, I doubt they will make you jump like physically because they are typically not into that. I know they didn't want you to jump on the balance board. They didn't generally want you to jump uh, in games in the previous Wii series games. So I kind of find it hard to believe that the jump function would be mapped to you actually jumping. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of question marks there. But
Yeah, it's
what
I
we
still think
do
it's
have,
one of the weirder sport inclusions.
it is,
I think
yeah,
it at least it stands out because it's not another sport with a net in the middle.
that's true.
So
It's a net on both ends.
yes, so in that sense, it's nice to have some variety, but it still
Yeah,
feels like an odd inclusion. Um, well, I mean, maybe not because soccer is a massive sport, right? So
right. Just just due to the nature of how it was implemented, it's very odd compared to
yeah,
the other games. That being said, it has a lot of depth to it. Um, the way that you can angle a shot um, is a key differentiator, I think, compared to like something like well, obviously we have Mario Strikers next month, and Konami has the eFootball series as it's now called, where you're aiming your kick with an analog stick or like the direction that it goes in, and you obviously you're going to be orienting yourself towards the ball in some way, but with this you're specifically aiming your leg, um, which I think is cool. Um, it really does like the way that you kick the ball really does make a difference, and it's not just like point in a direction and do the kick motion and the ball goes in that direction. It's very much dynamic. um
yeah. I was really surprised by how much control I had over the ball. So that
yeah,
was I was really happy to see that.
yeah. The thing with soccer for me is that it's a little bit too slow paced, um in terms of like it sometimes it feels like the game. I don't know about for you, but for me, um at least in my like stinky bad my stinky bad low level soccer play, there are most games there are very few goals scored. um
Yeah, I think two on average, two
yeah,
goals.
I don't
Yeah.
even get that. Usually it's like 1-0
Okay.
or something like that. Maybe we'll get
Yeah.
1-1 and then go into sudden death. A lot of times it's 0-0 and we go into sudden
Yeah,
death.
I did have one sudden death at one point.
Yeah. um because there is the whole passing mechanic where you can hold the, I think, ZR trigger,
Hmm.
maybe it was the uh, ZL trigger, and kick the ball to someone on your team, which I actually haven't completely grokked yet because I tried it and it felt like the ball just kind of did not go to them at all. But I'm just bad at soccer.
Yeah, yeah, it worked fine for me actually. So I
Yeah,
didn't really have an issue.
soccer is definitely the one I've spent the least amount of time with. So take anything I say with this
Yeah.
one like with a grain of
Well,
salt.
yeah, well, that's
Um,
fair.
um,
But yeah, to your point, I do think yeah, it is a bit slow paced, but I think soccer inherently is a slow paced game.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
Um, Depends also how you feel about soccer. I mean, you might
yes.
say that as a criticism of soccer itself.
I'm not criticizing soccer.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
I'm not into it, but it is cool that you can jump, and when you do use your leg to, or when you use when you kick the ball, kicking downward keeps it on the ground, kicking upward launches it into the air, and that ties into the whole jumping mechanic where you can kind of like jump and then like kick in the air, which feels very good. Um, and there's that
There's
silly
also
maneuver you can
yeah,
do.
there's also when you swing both Joy-Con at the same time, you can do the headbutt,
Yeah,
which is that's pretty fun.
that's the chaos option. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and also it has the Zelda stamina meter.
yeah, so that's another thing. It has a stamina gauge, which is
Yeah,
very weird to me for Wii. I mean, in Wii Sports Resort, there are sports in the series that have had stamina mechanics, most notably cycling. I can't quite remember if there was any others that did it to that extent, but it was not in the form of an actual like Breath of the Wild
it's
stamina meter.
it's weird because it feels like it doesn't feel like a Wii Sports game, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's very complex. It has a lot of elements to it,
Yeah,
in a way that I could see is maybe might be too much for more casual players, but obviously we can play it just fine. But
yeah,
with camera controls, with actually moving your character and a stamina meter, there's a lot to consider.
yeah, and you move at a, let's say, a brisk jog and by at normal, but there's also the dash mechanic which ties into the stamina, and you have to manage your stamina. It doesn't like, it's not like it's not like Breath of the Wild or Skyward Sword where like you stop moving and it all fills back up immediately.
Hmm.
Um, it slowly recovers,
Yeah.
and that's very much a big part of the strategy for um, for the game is knowing when to make a run for the ball and when to not, and let a teammate handle it. You have to trust your teammates.
Yes.
In this version of soccer, you cannot be a ball hog. It will not end well for you.
Yeah. It is a team sport.
It is, and as such, it has the most options in terms of like team makeup and configuration. Online, it's always 4-on-4, but locally, there's like 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 4-on-4. I feel like there's another one too. Like, I don't remember, but and then there's kickoff. So it definitely feels like one of the more fully featured sports,
Hmm.
um, just due to its complexity and what's available for it. Um, I do like that one of the customization types is that instead of customizing the ball, it's you customize what it looks like when you kick the ball through the goal, like Rocket League.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I've seen that. Like you can do like fireworks when you score.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, yeah, each of the sports have like equipment that you can unlock, and there's different colored bowling balls or types of swords or whatever. But yeah, soccer, instead of them doing the ball, it's how the goal works, which I think is nice. I actually prefer that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
yeah, it's cute. It of course draws more Rocket League comparisons, but
Yes.
it's a cute idea. Um, the last of the returning sports is tennis, um, and I know people have varying feelings on tennis. How do you feel about tennis and as it is in this game?
I don't actually have a lot to say about tennis. It's when I first booted up the game, this was the first sport I played because
Hmm.
it's the classic one. I just wanted to see how it felt on the Switch, and
Yeah,
yeah, I thought it felt great. I didn't really have any issues there. Um,
yeah.
what about you?
Um, it's so I know some people were a little miffed that it is still very timing based and it's not. For example, in Wii Sports Resort, tennis was replaced with table tennis,
Hmm.
which was a very like is a different game in the sense that it's very precise. And so I think some people were expecting tennis in this game to be like that, especially if they hadn't played Wii Sports Club. Um, but as it is in this game, tennis is still mostly a timing based affair. That being said, I actually really enjoy what they've done with the game of tennis, and it's a little difficult for me to figure out if some of the stuff existed in Wii Sports Club or not. But the main thing here is the addition of the top spin and the backspin,
Hmm.
um, where you twist the Joy-Con while you hit the ball, and it does have a very meaningful impact on how the ball travels and where it travels. Um, I do often find myself just the way that I twist the controller accidentally hitting lob shots a lot when I mean to be doing like topspin or backspin. Um, but it adds an interesting layer, I think, to tennis that makes it more than just timing. Um, and it is nice to see like your racket movement is more reflect like the position of your racket is reflected on screen. So I personally kind of dig tennis a lot. I feel like it has some neat changes compared to the original Wii Sports version of tennis that make it worth checking out. They added new courts, which don't seem to have an actual like effect. um,
Yeah, I mean it's just cosmetic, right? It's just for
yeah, it
variety.
appears to be.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they'd have like different bounce types, but it does not seem to be the case. They don't even let you choose; like you just kind of get a random court.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true. But I kind of like the simplicity of
oh yeah,
tennis. So it's the
yeah,
purest form of Wii Sports.
yeah.
There's really not a whole lot of complexity to it, but I don't think there
Nope,
needs to be. So
nope.
I think
I agree.
it does what it needs to do.
Yeah, I think they added some interesting little wrinkles to it. You can still get like the power serve, though it's much harder to get in this game. Um, and your timing matters, and there's that element of topspin and backspin, and I think that's more than enough for the depiction of tennis. Um, One thing I guess is I wish online you could play like a normal tennis game and not tiebreaker matches all the time.
Right.
Um, but um, besides that, I mean, There's probably the least amount to say about tennis, but I think I'm glad it's here. It was it was weird that it wasn't in Wii Sports Resort, even with the addition of table tennis.
Yeah, I mean, Wii Sports Resort was, the second Wii Sports game on that system, so it kind of made sense. But yeah,
Right.
I would feel weird if tennis was not included here, because to me, this and bowling are like
Yeah.
the Wii Sports games.
Yeah, I agree. Um, like when people think of Wii Sports, that's the quintessential. You think of tennis and bowling for the most
Yep.
part. Um, so I guess moving on to our final sport, which is also our last new sport, is badminton, which I guess kind of is the table tennis of this game. Um, what are your thoughts on badminton?
Yeah, so this is one where again I was confused when they told me, "Hey, badminton is one of them. It's one of the included
Yep.
sports," because it it feels so similar to tennis, and I know it's not exactly the same. I know the difference, but in terms of gameplay, I was curious to see how they could make it different. And
Right.
I will say this is probably the one that surprised me the most,
Hmm.
positively, because I really it's the one I've played the most for sure online. I keep going back to this one. I think I enjoy how fast paced it is compared to tennis, and
Yes.
it feels more competitive, and there's a lot of strategy to it as well. So I really enjoy this one.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So like I was complaining earlier in this episode about how Chambara does not feel particularly accurate. Um, Badminton feels extremely
Yes,
accurate.
I love
And
this one.
I'm not sure how that happened. Um, it's just weird that two sports that are I think are very dependent on their precision. One of them feels very imprecise, and the other feels extremely precise in the same game. Um, it's super satisfying to hit shots in badminton because they pretty much always go where you expect them to go.
Hmm.
Um, and I think immediately, like when we were playing locally that first night, badminton was the one that really like kind of stood out to us in terms of like how it felt and how fun it was. Um, the thing with badminton that's a bit weird to me is so uh, it's less about um, in tennis you're hitting back and forth over the net, and it's a timing thing. And badminton is very much a timing based sport as well, but due to the nature of the size of the court in badminton, um, you're much less likely to miss the shuttlecock versus hit it at the wrong time, which usually results in your character falling on their face. Like that is the main lose condition, I guess,
Yeah,
if that
so
makes sense.
for all you Brawl fans out there, this game has tripping.
Yes. So this game has a stamina mechanic that is not. I still don't think I entirely understand, and I suspect a lot of people don't entirely
Yeah, me
understand.
neither.
The idea is that you're supposed to hit shots back and forth in the court to make the character move back and forth, and the more you do so, the more their stamina depletes, so that if they make a timing mistake or something like that, then they are more likely to fall on their face and stay on the ground for a while, which will result in the opponent, returning the shuttlecock and your character not able to get up off the ground
Yeah,
and
it's
miss.
yeah. Again, I'm still trying to understand how exactly that happens because I don't really get it. There's no
Yeah,
like, unlike soccer, there's no real stamina gauge on screen or anything. So,
right. It's
or
an
even like
invisible.
any visual indicator of when this
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. Not even like sweat drops or like a
Yeah,
heart or like anything. Like there's nothing.
yeah.
Um,
I don't understand. But
like if they
thankfully,
didn't say that it was there, I would say it's not a
yeah.
thing.
I mean, thankfully, I don't think it happens that often. At least not for me. It does happen every now and then, and but it's
Yeah,
not really anything that ruins the game for me.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't ruin it for me either. What's fun about it is hitting the shots back and forth. They all feel very accurate, and then there's also like the drop shot option
Yeah,
where you
I
kind of
love
just
that.
like clink it, and that makes the timing more confusing because you actually need to swing the racket much later than you might expect to hit it at the correct timing when it's a drop shot. Um, and I find that interesting, like that timing mechanic. I think is interesting and fun. I think what hurts badminton a little bit for me is sometimes it feels like the actual volleys are a little inconsequential and kind of go on for a very long time. Um, so sometimes it feels a little bit like a drag, but at the same time, the game only goes up to 5 points, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of enjoy those long rallies because it feels like a fight.
yeah,
It feels very
yeah,
competitive.
yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, you just going back and forth. I guess what I think is that it might feel a little bit more meaningful if the court was a little bit larger. Because again,
yeah,
as it is, you can't really miss like you can in tennis. Um, like you don't really like if the shuttlecock is coming at you, you're going to hit it. It's just a matter if you hit it correctly, um, which I think is interesting, and it's definitely a differentiator from tennis.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly. It makes it different compared to tennis. It's more intimate
yeah,
compared to the massive court in tennis.
yeah, and badminton does also only have a two-player limit,
Yeah,
so
it's 1v1.
yeah, um, and it's definitely like tennis and like the other sports, it's definitely a game that you can very clearly be better than someone that you're playing against. It's not like, it's not like you winning or losing is a chance time Mario Party minigame. Like it's people who are good at badminton will consistently win at badminton. Like that's just how that is.
Yes.
Um, so I really like it. It feels very satisfying. It's definitely like it's up there for me in this package.
Yeah,
Um,
I would rank that as my number one.
yeah, good name. Yeah. So I guess I wanted to ask you now that we're kind of at the end of all these sports, how would you rank the sports for you? I guess we can go in order of least enjoyed to most enjoyed.
So for
I'm gonna
me,
put you on the spot.
yeah. So at the bottom, I would put volleyball, and I know
Hmm.
that maybe that's your favorite, but
Yep.
yeah. So I would put that there, and then probably Chambara.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, those two are definitely the weakest of the bunch, I would say, and
Yep.
then everything else above it, I really enjoy. Like soccer, I would put next, I think, then tennis, and then bowling, and then the best one is badminton.
Yep. I think
That's my
most
ranking.
people kind of would go with Um, I've seen it's interesting. I've seen a lot of diverse rankings
Yeah.
um, for this. For me, Chambara is definitely on bottom.
Hmm.
That one was just so disappointing to me. Soccer is probably the next for me. I don't really enjoy it that much. And then after that, I would probably say probably tennis. It's middle of the pack for me,
Yeah.
kind of. Um, and then bowling, badminton, volleyball.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Yeah,
that's good. It's good that there's so much. Like, if everyone hated the same one, that would be bad. Because at least, like,
yeah,
there's a reason for these games to be here.
yeah. I mean, they are. There was a shocking amount of difference to me between, or a shocking amount of difference between tennis and badminton, despite those two sports being conceptually very similar.
Yeah.
So there's definitely room for sports that may appear similar, um, to both exist because they are so different from each other. And I guess that would have been the case in Sports Resort if they had included tennis and table tennis. Like they would, those are two very different playing games.
Hmm.
Um, we have golf coming up in the fall. On top of that update for soccer, I'm looking forward to golf. I always enjoyed Wii Sports Golf. In fact, it's probably I was never able to get into Mario Golf before Super Rush, so in
Hmm.
terms of golf games, like Wii Sports was the only golf game I really enjoyed. Um, so I'm excited to see how that plays out. I'm hoping that they give us new courses. I know some people who are eagle-eyed noticed that the courses that they showed in the brief footage they showed of it were the ones from Wii Sports again.
Hmm.
Um, And then there were a couple sports that have been data mined, which
Spicy.
are, yeah, they are spicy. So there's basketball and dodgeball. Um, I personally really liked basketball in
Yeah.
Sports Resort. I just like the focus on just like shooting the ball into the net. Um, so I'm personally really looking forward to that coming back.
Hmm.
Dodgeball, I'm very curious
That
about
one
how
seems iffy
that'll
to
work.
me. Like, just
Yeah,
based on, like, I haven't seen it or anything, but I'm not quite sure why that's there. But hey, they
yeah.
can surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, they surprised us with badminton versus tennis. So, you know, dodgeball could be interesting. The only thing I think of with dodgeball is my brain is going to naturally go to Mario Sports Mix, um, and that game's version of dodgeball, which I
Yeah.
wanted to like more than I did.
Yeah.
um,
Not that great.
so, if they make it so that it's mostly about, um, you know, aiming aiming the shots and maybe like the timing of catching a shot, that could be very interesting. I feel like that game, if you're gonna do dodgeball, and based on what they do with soccer, that they may do the whole like free analog movement again for that.
Hmm.
Feels like that would be important, but I
Yeah.
I
How
honestly
how
don't
else would
know.
you dodge like that?
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah. Like I don't know if you would like. Yeah, like it's kind of in the name.
Yeah.
Like, how would you dodge? Is there gonna be some like weird like dodge roll thing too? Like instead of the dash in soccer, there's like a roll or something.
You're gonna have to
Um,
actually do the dodge roll with the leg strap on.
yeah, yeah, you have to. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you have to do the full thing. And if you don't,
Yeah.
you're a loser. Yeah, kicked offline.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. And I guess two is the number of players. Will it be 4-on-4 like soccer? I feel like that would be the most interesting since dodgeball is kind of about like the chaos of a bunch of people.
Hmm.
So I don't know. They might do something wacky with it, and where it's like there's multiple dodgeballs or something. I don't even know. Um, are there any sports that have not been data mined that you're hoping to see show up in this? Since it seems like it's they haven't really said anything specifically, but it does seem like this is a game that they're going to be supporting for at least like a year or so with new content besides the customizations. So, are there any sports that you want to see included here that aren't?
Yeah, well, for me, it's just I just hope there's more because we don't know. They've only said golf is coming, and golf that
Right.
is in the fall, so that's like 6 months after launch. So
Yep.
that's a long time. Like that's a
It
bit
is.
later than I would have liked. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there is more, the if the data mining actually is going to lead to something.
Yeah.
But if I could choose, I will say from the original Wii Sports, I can do without boxing. Like I don't need
Same.
boxing in this game. Like we have
Yeah.
arms, just play arms is way better. Um,
Yeah.
so I would do baseball at least. I think that one is would be nice to see
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see baseball back
because
as well. I agree.
it's such an iconic Wii Sports sport, right? Um,
Yeah. And it's always the one that gets shafted.
yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah, so yeah, that one and from Resort, I guess I don't I would have said basketball, but it seems like that's coming, so that's
Yep.
nice. I don't really have any specific sport that I would like to see. I just hope there's more.
Yeah. I think from Resort, from original Wii Sports, baseball definitely. The
Yeah.
others I don't care. I mean, obviously we've gotten all of them now except for boxing. Um, but baseball would be the pick for me from there. From Sports Resort, on top of like maybe some of the side stuff coming back for like I'm curious if they'll add anything to existing sports. Um, like if I would still play showdown mode if it got if it got added to
Yeah.
Chambara. But I think the 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 game from the two games from Sports Resort that I'd most like to see come back are the Island Flyover, which I don't know how they would do it this time because Spoko Square is very flat, but
Hmm.
um, I spent a lot of time flying around Woohoo Island and really enjoyed it. Um, and then the other would be archery.
Archery,
Um,
yes. That one I would like to
archery.
see.
Archery, I wanted to be expanded on so much in the original Wii Sports Resort. Not that it necessarily would be, but um, it was very fun and very satisfying. So I'd love to see archery make it back. Um, but I mean, who knows? I
Yeah.
guess time will tell on all that.
One thing I would like to see is since we already have timed events, I would like to see more costumes, maybe for Nintendo themed costumes.
Yeah,
That would be nice to see. Like
yeah, that would be
do,
fun.
maybe I don't think they're gonna do this, but you know how in Tetris 99 they have these themes to coincide with releases.
Oh yes,
That would be nice to see. Like if there's a new Mario game coming out, you could do Mario costumes or you know any Nintendo property. That would be nice.
yeah, I agree. It would be fun to see those kind of crossovers show up. And God, I said the dreaded word, didn't I? Everyone's like, "Ah, crossovers." We're on the eve of multiverses launching, and everything's crossed over. But
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't mind some of that here, even if it was just you know, like a couple of items that crossed over, like maybe just a specific like character board, like a Mario board or something.
Yeah.
Um, something I didn't really talk about, but I actually really like are the emotes in this game that you can use to communicate with other people. It's very simple. There's just four, and you can assign whatever and unlock different ones. But they have so many weird, differing styles of emotes already
Hmm.
um, in the game. I thought you were just gonna have just the four that you did in the online test, and I was fine with that. And then the actual game has so many customizations, and you have like everything from like the weird like pleading face emoji
Yeah.
as an emote to like weird drawn characters that look like really like weird. Like it's a fun little thing that actually matters. Um, that is to say nothing of the titles, which I've seen plenty of very uh, unsavory combinations.
Yeah. It's a cool feature. It kind of reminds me of Mario Party Superstars that has
Yeah.
the emotes as well. But in that game, I find them kind of annoying because the UI is already so cluttered in that game.
Yeah, it's annoying to like go through them because it's like what you have like three rows, I think, that you
Yeah,
can go through. It's kind of a lot.
yeah. But
I,
in this game, I think they're pretty well implemented, and it's fun to unlock more of them. And there's,
yeah,
as you said, there's way more than I thought there would be. I thought it would just be four of them, but yeah, it's nice to see.
yeah. I think it's a fun. Those are fun, lightweight inclusions that at least if you're a me, you can use.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like them.
um, so I guess yeah. Final thoughts on Switch Sports.
Final thoughts. I enjoy it. I think it's a fun game, and I think if you have fond memories of playing Wii Sports back in the day, then you should get this game because I think it does scratch that itch. It doesn't go all the way like I wanted it to go. I think it should be. It should have leaned more into the Wii roots, if you ask me.
Hmm.
But other than that, I am hopeful that they keep adding to it. Hopefully, it's not just golf, and there is actually more. And hopefully, we get some cool themed timed events in the future. I think this is something they should support for at least a year. So I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I feel similarly. I'm very happy to finally have another Wii Sports, basically entry, a motion sports entry, I should say. It felt like something that, like, I expected to show up on Switch much sooner than it did, but I'm glad now that it's here. Um, I do. It is not the home run that I hoped for it to be.
No pun
Um,
intended.
yeah, exactly. Not only because baseball's not there,
Yet.
yet, uh, but because of some of the control issues, um, which are really disappointing to me because Wii Sports to me has always been about that feel and how that translates to the games, and that something like Chambara is just so off to
Hmm.
me is just such a shame. Um, but what is there, I generally do like, and the new content is actually pretty cool. The customizations are what keep me coming back right now and are fun. I just think it was a mistake to not to to not really go in as much in terms of content and even locally. Like it feels very hollow um, as an offering, and I feel like they could have stuck that landing much better. But I'm excited to see what they add to it in the future besides golf, if they add anything else. And admittedly, the unlockable customization stuff online is what keeps me coming back. Like that is a major factor for me.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think both of us are both just really glad that we have another Wii Sports game after all this time.
Yep, for sure. And I think it's a good time for the Switch, for it to come out in the Switch's life cycle because we've had all these, core IP now from Nintendo.
Yeah,
So it's nice that they can branch out a little now. And I'm
yeah,
hoping we see Nintendogs, Tomodachi Life. I think all
yeah.
those franchises should be on Switch.
Rhythm Heaven, Rhythm
Yes,
Heaven,
please. That
Star
would be so
Fox,
good.
Rhythm
Yeah.
Heaven. We won't get into that. All right. Well, that was it on Switch Sports. Zalman, can you tell me where can people find you if you want to be found?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at @EnterZalman. I tweet about video games almost exclusively, so if you enjoy video games, which I assume you do, then you should check me out over there.
Sweet. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today for our little session here.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to this podcast. Obviously, where you're listening, but we're on YouTube. We're on what is that podcast service, man? There's Apple Podcasts. Just Google that. I almost said shitter, not shitter. What is it? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Stitcher. There we go.
Yeah.
Stitcher. Sorry, Stitcher. Not shitter. Um, run all that stuff. So if you like what you hear, definitely please consider subscribing. We try to have stuff out every week, but recently things have been a little bit crazy. We're hoping to get back to a regular weekly cadence.
E3
Um,
season is coming up.
E3 season is coming up. So, well, not E3.
Yes.
Like summer games mess is coming is
Yes.
coming up. The Keeley season is coming. Um, so there's that, and then we also have the Undead Nintendo Pipeline blog, which is nintendopipeline.wordpress.com. You can see some user created articles and bits from our community, which also has a Discord, which is, I believe, discord.gg/Nintendo Pipeline. You can find a link to it on the Undead blog as well. We talk about Nintendo and lots of other things. Some game related, some not game related. On a pretty regular basis. There's like a lot of people there that chat, so come and join us sometime. Uh, but that's gonna be it for today. So until next time, we will see you later. Bye bye.
Bye.